So in the previous class, we were solving this particular problem. The minimum number of teeth were given in a helical drive, and the diameter was unknown. So you had to fix a diameter, and that is what we did. We fixed we also saw the importance of virtual number of teeth in the previous class, the formative number of teeth. And using that concept, we understood which is the weaker member at first. Then the associated formulae, that is using the normal module, and we got the required one, 9.397 in the previous class. Then we did the iterations. We solved the iteration and found that module of 3 mm, normal module of 3 mm would suffice for this particular problem. Okay. So in this problem, there is an extension that we have to calculate the dynamic load and check for wear load also. Okay, the procedure will follow in the same way. Maybe some of you have already attempted this, because except cos beta factor, everything else remains the same. Okay, except the cos
Excuse
beta.
me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, the FT value can be found out using Lewis equation also.
I think you'll get almost the same one. Yeah.
No, I'm getting different value.
How much?
Like by 2000. Like from 2 MT by D, we are getting 3290. But from Lewis equation, we are getting somewhere around 5218.85.
Lewis equation. Is this the same one you're using? This particular one?
12.24A. Not this one. The other 12.24A, the one above that.
12.24A. (12.24A) normal module. We don't see a cos beta factor over there in that particular equation, so I don't think that we can use here. In this problem, cos beta is there. I'll have to check with that students. You have to give me some time, because that particular one does not have that cos beta factor. We have to understand why that is not given over there. Okay. Sometimes the sentences are a little bit misleading over here, because 12.24b, if you look at the statement, Lewis equation for beam strength of the tooth is given, and in the 12.24a, it is given Lewis equation for the helical or herringbone gaze. Okay, herringbone gaze is slightly an extension of helical gaze. Okay, that I may discuss some other time. So we will stick on to this factor, but I'll surely get back to you on this. Why that FT value? And because one big problem there is cos beta factor is totally missing in those equations. Okay, so just give me some time. Okay.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So this FT factor, we solved it directly from the torque that is getting transmitted, that is MT 1.05 into 10 raised to 5 Newton mm. So using that, we came across that FT value, the tangential tooth load on that particular gear. Okay, which was the weaker one here? Yeah, the pinion was the weaker one. So we took that itself as a reference. So 2MT by D1, which came to around 3290.52. So we'll proceed from here. Other things, I think, since we have practiced enough, 5 problems we have already done in spur gears, we will proceed with this one too. So in this problem, again, same way, K3 is 20.67, so that is done. Ft value we found out to be, after calculation, 3290.52 newtons. Okay. Um, Now, what about the velocity? Velocity, if you look at the previous iteration table, you have already found out with the 3 mm as the module, you have found out the velocity to be 20.06. So there is no need to recalculate. Velocity is 20.06 meters per second. Okay. So that was about Ft, then K3 and V. And since we have taken 15 mm as the face width, so that should be 45 mm, already calculated. B. Okay, cos beta is a known thing because beta is 20 degrees. Okay, now only for the C value, what should be C? So let us go to the three tables. Table 12.14, if we refer first, okay, where dynamic factor C is discussed. Yeah, maximum allowable error between the gears. So for V is equal to 20.06 meters per second. What happens? We know that there is a value for 20. If you get somewhere around 20.01, directly taking 20 also is okay. Okay, it does not make much of a difference. Maybe in the fourth decimal place, you will get some very minor difference. We'll just try it out here. So with the velocity v of 20 and 25, because 20.06 comes somewhere in between. Okay, and you have Emax value 0.0155, and here it is 0.0130, and this is your unknown value of Emax that you need to find out. So we'll interpolate between these. So interpolating, this is 20.06 minus 20, and 25 minus 20 must be equal to Emax minus 0.0155 by 0.013 minus 0.0155. So Emax value should be around, to do this interpolation, 0.01547. Okay, very small difference in the fourth and the fifth decimal place. Okay, so if you get around say 20.01 as somewhere around the v value, the velocity, you can, I think it is sufficient to take 20 directly as it is given in the table. So with this in mind, let us go to, let me go to the statement first. Yeah. Helical gear transmits. I think is mentioned about the class of gears here. Okay. Notice one thing, that module is 3 mm. Okay. Module has become 3 mm now. Okay. Now with this value, we don't have any table as such. If you go to refer table 12.13, you go to table 12.13, module starts from 4 mm. Okay, so for module less than 4 mm, okay, what can we do over here? For module less than 4 mm, that table gives all the values from 4 mm. So what we can do here is we'll take a different approach. Here, since module is less than 4 mm and our module is 3 mm, okay, our module is 3 mm. You look at the error table, okay, for less than 4 mm, that is m is equal to 3 mm implies that error, since for module 4 mm itself it is point, there are three classes of gears, 0.0508, 0.0254 for class 2 and 0.0127. What we will do is we'll take the least possible value. So error, let us say 0.0127 mm for class 3 gears. What is class 3 gears? Class 3 is precision gears. Okay, high precision gears come under the category of class 3. Why we are using this? Why we are using this particular type now? Because here for this particular module 3 mm we don't have any reference value. So what we are doing is, we are, to be on the safer side, we are taking the least possible error value. Okay, least possible error value. See, definitely for 4 mm itself it is 0.0127 mm that is given in the table. But for if you want to go for 3, obviously it is going to be less than that. Okay, it is going to be less than that. So what we do is we assume that let us design for class 3 so that this value 0.0127 is directly taken. We don't have anything as a reference over here. Okay, we don't have anything as a reference. So that is why we can take this value of 0.0127. Okay, so what about dynamic factor now? In order to calculate the dynamic factor, you need to interpolate. Now we know that Emax is 0.01547 and the probable error is 0.0127. So what has happened here? We have a situation where it should be, the probable error should be less than the permissible error or maximum allowable error. So Emax is E is lesser than Emax. Okay, this condition is verified. You compare these two. So E is less than Emax is verified. So dynamic factor C to be calculated is, you can go to table 12.12. In table 12.12, the dynamic factor C comes out to be, okay, now which one you have to use? 0.01, 0.02, in between is 0.0127. So here error indicates E and the factor C. Okay, which table to use now? Now we are going to use, if you go to the material, it is both steel, right? C30 steel and gear is C45 steel. So both are steel. So which combination? Steel and steel. And in the problem it is mentioned over here that pressure angle is 20. So again this is 20 degree. Okay, we'll assume it is full depth only, because if it is stub teeth they would have explicitly mentioned it as stub teeth. So 12.12 steel and steel, 20-degree full depth with those error values. So C value should come out to be here 114.4 and this is 228.9 and this is your required value of C. So let us interpolate again. So 0.0127 minus 0.01, 0.02 minus 0.01, required value of C minus 114.4. Okay. So this value, the C should be,
Sir, 145.3.
yeah, correct. 145.31. Yes, we are getting around this value. Okay, so this is a dynamic practicing. We'll now substitute back in the equation. Fd should be equal to T plus K3V into CB cos square beta plus 50 into cos beta So here it is 3290.52 plus 20.67 into 20.06, 145.31 into 45 into cos square of 20 degrees plus 3290.52 into cos of 20 degrees all divided by 106 plus root of 45 cos square of 20 degrees plus 3290.52. Okay. Be careful with this degrees here because understand and verify which mode your calculator is working on. Okay. By default, it should be in degree mode. It will be taking in degrees. If you put to 20 radians, you'll get a totally different value. So cos square of 20 degrees. Here outside it is cos 20. I think I've written the properly. Yeah.
So what is the value of FD?
FD value will come out to be 10,270.
10,217.
Yeah. This is one calculation where most of the students, of course, they write it properly, but when entering in the calculator, they do a mistake. So even after coming after this step, this answer will be wrong. So be very careful here because you have a lot of brackets, square roots, etc. Okay. So what you can do is you can solve this quantity first over here. Can solve this quantity first. Okay, that same quantity whatever you get will be multiplied in the numerator and will be added to the denominator as a square root. Okay, so that is one major part. Okay. Now for the wear load. So this was about the dynamic load. As a problem suggests to you that it is designed with respect to strength and dynamic load and wear load. So let us go for that. What is wear load now? Wear load is again Fw is equal to D1 B Q K. The difference here is the cos beta factor. So this is given in equation 12.26 C. Okay, just check the values. 12.06, yes, the limiting load for wear. And similarly, you have all the elements except this cos square beta, everything else remains the same. And this is with respect to the pinion itself, D1. So let us see that what we get. Since okay, let us go back to our calculation and see what D1 and D2 we got. D1 anyway that 63.85 and this is 191.55. The ratio is 1:3. So here D1 is 63.85, and then you can write the full value of because Q you require both those values, 2D2 by D1 plus D2. Since the ratio is 3, this value comes out to be 1.5. Okay. You can use one more method also, rather than putting all the values. If you have the values, you can put directly, or you can use 2 times 3D1 by D1 plus 3D1. Okay. So it's 2 into 3 into D1 by 4D1 is 1.5. Okay, this is also fine. Or you can directly put the values if you know them. Okay, so Q is done, D1 is done, B is also there, 45, B is 45, we have set it. Cos beta is simply that is 20 degrees. Now what about K? What about K value? So if you go back to the material properties, see that is steel. Okay, BHN1, if you go back, will be having some value, and C45 steel, BHN2 will be some value. If you go to table 12.7, page 234. Yeah, so C30 steel is only one type, it is heat treated. We have taken 220.6 as allowable stress, sigma D. So the BHN value mentioned there is 300. And for C45 steel, it is mentioned as 200. Okay, 300 and 200. Okay, let us first check whether this combination is available in 12.16. Okay, hold on students, I need to add one slide here. So yeah, these two values we got from table 12.7. Let us go to table 12.16 on page 239. Okay, on page 239. Let us see 300 and 200. That is BHN1 is 300 and 200. Do you have any combination like that? It should be steel and steel. Okay, both should be steel and steel. BHN1 should be 300 and BHN2 should be 200. Yeah, if you closely look at the table, we don't have any direct value suggesting that. Okay, there is 300 and 300, there is 250 and 200, there is 300 and 250, but these two combinations don't exist. Okay, BHN 300 and 200. Of course, these are some standard values that are given, but even though that is not given, we can still find out using the formula that is given. Okay, we know that K is equal to sigma ES square sine alpha, okay, alpha n, it is normal module, by 1.4, 1 by E1 plus 1 by E2. We had calculated this in one of the problems. Okay, so this is found in the same equation 12.26c. Now we'll find out what is the sigma ES. It's 2.75, the average of the BHN minus 70. So it is 2.75 into 300 plus 200 by 2 minus 70. So some value you are going to get sigma ES, and E1 and E2 you can take 207 gigapascals. Both are steels, so 207 gigapascals will take. Okay, so sigma ES should be, you should be giving around
617.5.
Yeah, good, 617.5. So these both values should come here. Okay, I can write it in this simple way, 617.5, it is megapascals. What we'll do is numerator will maintain in megapascal, denominator also will maintain in megapascals. So sine of 20 degrees by 1.4. Since both values are same, I can write 2 by 2.07 into 10 raised to 5. Okay. Raised to 5. I'm maintaining both numerator and denominator in megapascals, so this will hold good. So this one can be written as 2.07 into 10 raised to 5 megapascals. So it should give you
0.9.
Yeah, around 0.9, yes, 0.89 or something. Okay, anyway, no problem, 0.9 will take. So FW now with the new value of 0.9. Okay, this is 0.9 that we have calculated. So again, D1 BQ by cos square beta. So let me put that value. D1 will be 63.85. This is 45. This is 1.5. This is 0.9 by cos square of 20 degrees.
$4392.74.
Yes, good. 4392.74. So obviously here FD is much greater than FW. So you can write design is not safe from, okay, wear point of view. Okay, you need to assign a new value of point. There are other things we cannot change, you have already set it. Okay, so you have to change what is this K value. So how to do that? We have done that even for the spur gear combination. FW is equal to D1 PQ K new factor by cos square beta, and equate this to this value to FD. Okay, and get the new value. FD, put that value as FW and get the K new value back. So let me write the equation here. 10,217.9 I am getting is equal to 63.85 into 45 into 1.5 into K new by cos square 20 degrees. Okay, so K new value will be
2.09.
yes, K new value is 2.09. Then you can write the conclusion. Since FW lesser than FD, the wear starts before the dynamic load FD is reached. Hence it is subjected to heat treatment so that it can be surface hardened to a higher value of BHN, for which the value of K is 2.09. Okay, if asked, you can even suggest a value, that is find out a value. If you go to table 12.16, you can search steel and steel combination. Now that BHN value you can choose back, so you can directly go there and find out which will suit. Okay, so this is a little bit extra if we uh, want to be sure what we are actually doing here. Okay, not a part of the problem. I'll just give it an extra, like something like suggest minimum hardness. Okay, suggest minimum hardness, or the hardness value that is required. So 2.09, if you go to table 12.16, then
So
page
400 and 350.
yeah, correct. So 2.09, if you see steel and steel, correct, you're right, steel and steel, you find a value of K that is under 20 degrees full depth, uh, K as 2.189 you find. Okay, and that is possible with BHN1 as 400 and BHN2 as 350. It is just above, okay, 2.189, which is just above. So this value is slightly greater than 2.09, which is required. Okay, so this is usually the minimum hardness number that it is suggested. Of course, it is not asked in the problem. You are not required to do this step, but of course, if you have time and you want to say, let me complete the problem fully, so this is also okay. Right. If it is asked, yes, this step also becomes compulsory. Okay, very similar to spur gauge, except that the cos beta factor, that is the helical angle factor, will be used in all the equations. Okay. So this was about the first problem. In this first problem itself, we have covered most of the things. Okay. So let us go for one more type again.
Sir, can you take the previous?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I had to write the last part.
Okay. So regarding all the steps, I think it is very clear, because since we have already done it the spur gauge, so these things are just a repetition of that. So let us go to one more type of problem. Okay, you can take down the statement. Okay, so this is problem 2. We'll quickly go to the problem. Transmit 20 kilowatts helical gear combination, power at 10,000 RPM. So P is 20 kilowatts. RPM of the pinion is 10,000, and teeth are 20-degree full depth involute. So this is regarding the pressure angle. Helix angle is 45. Beta is 45 degrees. Okay, helix angle is 45. The pinion is nearly 80 mm diameter. You see this sentence, the pinion is nearly 80 mm diameter. Okay, so what we can say D1 is approximately 80. Okay, approximately 80. The drive is to be for safe and continuous operation. Okay, so that actually refers to the service factor. Okay, safe and continuous operation. Anything else? Yeah, safe for continuous operation. So that CS value you have to find out. Okay, I'll just put an arrow mark here. This is referring to the service factor. Design the gear based on Lewis equation. Assume material for pinion and steel, C30 steel, and for gear it is C45 steel. So since the previous problem we had same data, I'll directly transfer that here. So C30 steel, sigma D1 should be 220.6, and C45 steel, sigma D2 should be 233.4 megapascal. So same data as in the previous problem, because both were having the same material combination. Okay. Now here in this problem, it is nearly 80 mm diameter, but there is no mention of any uh, number of teeth, okay, either on pinion or gear. So this is a problem where diameter is known, okay, diameter is known, some reference is given, though it is not saying exactly equal to 80 mm, it's saying nearly 80 mm diameter, but you have some reference to start with. So in this problem particularly, we don't have how many number of teeth to start with. Okay, so I think one data is missing. Let me just check. Yeah, one more data is missing. Gear is subjected to medium shock. Okay, actually this is a part of this continuous operation. So gear is subjected to medium shock, you can add. Okay, and gear ratio is also missing. Typing error here. Gear ratio is 4:1. Okay, in other words, I is equal to 4:1. Okay, so these two data you can add. So this is a continuation of this continuous operation, and gear is subjected to medium shock. So together they form what is the service factor. So I is 4:1. You can immediately write I is equal to, even for a helical gear this is true, N1 by N2 is equal to D2 by D1 should be equal to Z2 by Z1, and okay, D2 is 4 times D1, which is 4 into 80, which is 320. Okay, I can say approximately. Okay, again, because why? Because it is nearly 80 mm diameter, it was given for D1. So on similar lines, D2 is approximately equal to 320. Okay, now to find out the weaker member. Okay, before that, let us just finish off this one. What is CS? So if you go to the values in the table, yeah, service factors for a CS gear according to table 12.8, page 235. So there you have medium shocks with continuous operation. Continuous was operation, that is, in other words, 24 hours per day. Some of the gear systems, they have to be continuously operational. So continuous operation 24 hours per day, if you assume, with medium shocks, according to that table, your service factor should be 1.8. Okay, rather large when compared to all the previous problems. Service factor is quite large here. Okay. Now to find out the weaker member, assume, okay, assume Z1 to be 20. Why we are doing that? We know that since we don't have the proper number of teeth, we have to assume temporarily, okay? Assume Z1 equal to 20 and Z2 is equal to 4 times 20, which is 80, okay? 80 teeth. So this is a temporary arrangement that we do. If Z1 is 20, then what about ZE1, which we know to be Z cos Z by cos cube beta. So calculate that. Remember beta is 45 degree here, okay? Z by cos cube beta. So ZE1 should be some value, ZE2 should be, that is, sorry, Z1 here, okay, Z2 by cos cube beta. Right here, temporarily assume, okay? Yeah, how much is the value? ZE1?
24.1.
24, okay. I think you have taken beta to be 20 degrees. Beta is 45.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
7.07.
56.
Okay, I'll be getting around 56.57.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. 56.57.
yes. And this is just 4 times of that. So 226.27. Yeah. 56.57 and 226.27. Okay. Let us find out what is y1. Since it is, we are dealing with 20 degree folder, 0.154 minus 0.912 by ZE1 is one value. Similarly, 912 by ZE2. So if we do this, just check the values. One is 0.137 and 0.149. Next, product sigma D1 Y1. That is yeah, 220.6 into 0.137 and sigma D2 Y2 should be 233.4 into 0.149. Yeah. Yeah, how much students? Which is the weaker one here?
Sir, opinion.
Yeah, good. So this is 30.22 and this is 34.78. So we understand that this is weaker. Okay, so opinion is weaker. So design for strength is based on opinion. Yeah. Okay, let us go with this combination now. Now we know that once we do not know the number of teeth, we have temporarily assumed. Now we have to use one more form of the equation. So if you refer to equation 12.60, hold on, not 12.60, it is something different, wrongly written here. 12.24, yeah. 12.24b, okay, page 214. Mn should be Ft Cw by sigma d Cv k into y. Okay, we can use one more form of the equation. Okay, so here what we want is squaring on both the sides. I can write mn square small y must be equal to Ft Cw by sigma d Cv k, and that small y has been extracted, so pi will remain here. Okay, so we can use this particular combination very similar to what we use for Spurge's. Why we are using this? Because we know already Cv, because 80 mm is already been decided. Okay, so there is no point in getting that Cv back to the left hand side. Okay, since teeth is unknown, teeth has direct relation with this quantity of y. Okay, the form factor. Now these are the things you can directly find out and directly know. Okay, let us go one by one. What is Ft? Ft is, we don't have any torque as reference, but we have to go with the power as reference and service factor. PCS by V. Okay, so let us calculate subcomponent. V is pi d1 n1 by 60,000. So that should be equal to, this is 80, 10,000 is the RPM, and this is 60,000. So this should be coming around 41.89 meters per second. Put this value back. 1000, 20 kilowatts, 1.8 as service factor, 41.89 velocity. Should be getting around 859.39 newtons. Just check the values. Okay. So Ft, maybe you've got similar values, so I'll continue from here. Since velocity is set at 41.89, Cv we can set. Okay, this is so Ft is done. Then Cv we can set from this. What is the value of Cv? Okay, let me do it side by side here itself. So Cv is 5.55 by 5.55 plus root of V. Okay, 12.24 25D according to equation page 214, series of equations. So V is greater than 20 meters per second. So for this combination, you have 5.55 by 5.55 plus root of V. Okay, we have to use this one. So CV will come out to be
0.461.
yeah 0.4616. Correct. So what about K value? K value, let us say we have assumed standard value of 15 because K should be between 12.5 and 20. Okay, because 12.5 K and 20 should be there. So we have assumed somewhere in between around 15. Okay. Regarding one small other factor, same as last time, we can use the wear consideration to be 1.15. Okay, we'll assume frequent lubrication, or what does your data handbook say? What word is used there? Proper viscosity, enclosed gears continuously lubricated. Assume continuously lubricated. It is also fair to assume this because we understand that it is continuous operation 24 hours per day. So of course we will need to have this particular thing sorted out. We have to give it a lot of lubrication. So 1.15 enclosed gears continuously lubricated, okay, according to table 12.21, page 241. Okay, yeah. So with all those factors, let us calculate what is mn square y, which is required. So required value is, here it is 859.39 into 1.15 by, we are discussing with respect to pinion, so to sigma d value is 220.6, CV is 0.4616, and K value is 15, and this is pi. So this should be around 0.206 required. Okay, once you get this value, go for iterations, mn normal module in mm. Next, what should be there? See, d is already known, so z is should be d cos cube beta by mn. D cos cube beta by mn. So this particular formula, according to 12.196. Okay, once z is done, then you have to understand what is ze, which is nothing but z by cos cube beta. Then you have to go with what is y. Y is 0.154 minus 0.912 by ze. Then you will go for what is mn square y. Okay, looking at the value itself, 0.206, we understand that it is a quite a kind of low value. Y is never going to be more than 1. Okay, you may get value of 0.14, 0.13 and so on. So you can understand that we can start with something low values only because of the nature of the product. So if we take say 2, okay, just starting sake, we'll see where does it head, and we'll understand whether to go up the upside of the 2 or still downside of the 2. So Z value, if 2 is taken, what is it? We know that D1, okay, we are referring with respect to D1 here. So D1 cos cube beta by Mn should be this Z, okay, let me be very specific, 1, 1, 1, 1, okay, square y1, okay, because we are discussing with respect to pinion. So D1 is 80 cos of 45 by Mn, which is 2. So Z1 okay, how much you are getting, students?
28.284.
28.28. Okay. Now, since this is a number of teeth, remember, you have to take something that is correct. Okay, that is not simply a virtual number. This is number of teeth. This ZE can be a virtual number. Any decimal value it can take. But whereas Z1 should be a whole number. So what you do is, since it is on the lower side, you approximate it to 28. Okay. Anyway, this is just an iteration. Later we'll adjust. So 28.28 approximately equal to 28 number of teeth. With this 28, what should be ZE1? So this should be around
79.1196.
yes, correct. 79.19. Next, Y1 should come around 0.1426.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Then you have Mn square Y1, which is coming around 0.57. Of course, better than this, but can we say, okay, we can still optimize it? We can still optimize it because it is more than double of it. So there is one more value which will come lesser than this. So let us go to the standard set of modules, and you have combinations like 1.5 is there. Even in choice 1, you have 1.5 and 1.25. I'll directly go with 1.25. Okay, I'll directly go with 1.25. When 1.25 is given, then Z1 will be around 45.25. Let us say we take 45. Again, the lower end. Then what happens to virtual number of teeth? It will come to be around, is it 128 point something? Just let me know the value. If you take 45,
127.28.
okay, 127.28. Fine. If you take 45. Next, Y1 should be around not much of a difference, 0.1468. You can find
Yes,
a
sir.
difference only in the third decimal place. Yeah. But anyway, we have taken 1.25, so that will make a difference when it comes to the product. And you will get around a value of 0.23, which is very close to this. And we can understand if you go less than this, definitely it is not going to reach 0.2. Just think about it. If you use the module 1 square is 1 itself, and this will go slightly higher, maybe say 0.15 or something, which is still lesser than point required value of 0.206. Okay, yes. So what we can say now, Mn square y, which is adopted, okay, greater than Mn square y, which is required. Okay, so in what we can say is normal modulus 1.25 mm can be accepted with the following changes. What is that? That number of teeth that should be there on the gear should be 45. Virtual number, of course, it can be anything, 127.28 or anything, because it's anyway virtual. And okay, there's one more point here. Suppose, say, you might think, okay, why 45? Why not take 46? 46 also is agreeable. Both are agreeable, 45 or 46. If you take 46, it might go to around 128 point something, slightly above. I mean, here if you take, okay, here it may go to 147 or something. So around 0.24 you may get. And I don't have the values with me here, but you can take. So note here that it can be taken. Okay, two things should be taken care in this table. I'll just put it down here. Okay. Okay, first one is Z should be whole number. Z should be a whole number always, okay? Even though you get a different calculation here, set it to a whole number. The virtual number of teeth anyway will be a decimal number, so don't worry about it. Then go on calculating in order to get the mn square y value. The second part is higher or lower can be taken, okay? Whichever suits, higher or lower value of teeth. So in this case, example is 45 or 46, both can be taken. But one set you don't change it, okay? 45 or 46 can be taken. Now, interestingly, what happens now? You see, mn is 1.25. So let us reverse calculate and see what will happen to the values. Okay. So once we set it is 45, say 45. Okay, I'll say Z1 to be 45 teeth I set. What will happen to D1? D1 is Z1 mn by cos beta. Just rearranging this equation. Okay. So D1 comes out to be, okay, 79.55, which is approximately equal to 80. Okay, that is why in the problem it was given it is nearly equal to 80, because we know once we set the exact number of teeth, you may not get an exact value for the diameter of the said gear. Okay, so this condition is also satisfied. Anyway, we have taken that itself as reference and adjusted over here, and that is why it was approximately equal to 80. So once D1 is set and D2 is 4 times of this particular value, so this comes out to be 318.2 mm. Okay. Then you can calculate what is face width. Face width comes out 15 times, so it is 18.75 mm. Okay. This is the basis of requirement from the basis of strength. So from the strength point of view, we have properly solved this. Center distance also you can calculate once D1 and D2 is done. So center distance, I think it is given by A or C. Okay, whatever it is, D1 by D2 by 2 comes around 198.875. Okay. Once Z1 is set as 45, then Z2 should be 4 times of that. So 180. Okay, so what did we do in this problem? Just to summarize, we didn't have a diameter no, sorry, diameter was known. We didn't have a number of teeth. So number of teeth were adjusted. We temporarily assumed to find out the weaker member. Then we did an iteration with respect to mn square y with all the factors taken into consideration. Once it came to helical gear combination, we know that you won't get a whole number because of this cos beta factor with the helical angle. So you have to assume some value which is closer, that is a whole number. You can go higher or lower. Okay. In many different cases, you might get something like the higher number may satisfy the thing and lower number may not satisfy the thing. So you are free to do that. Once you get a value, you will be able to understand after iterating which is coming closer. Then you are free to choose that. Okay, and then you can give the new measurement, that is it is nearly 80, so that is why it is once you calculated, it came out to be 79.55. Suppose say you took 46. Suppose say in this problem you took 46 teeth, then what happens? It will be slightly above 80, right? It might go slightly above 80, but still it is closer to 80. So both conditions are satisfied here. You take 45 or 46, it will not go against the definition of the problem. Okay, so Z1 is 46, then D1 will be maybe say 80 point something. I'm not very sure. Okay, just calculate and tell me. But whatever it is, it should be approximately equal to 18. Hello.
For 46, it is 81.317.
Yes. For 81.31. Okay. So that also is approximately equal to 80. So you can take that value also. But anyway, with 45 also, your mn square y is getting satisfied. So that is why we need not go for any higher number. Okay. Yeah. So let us move on to the third problem here. Let's take down the statement. Yeah, so we'll start off this problem. Again, minimum information is given in this problem. So pair of helical gears with starting torque 50% more than the running torque. Let us write the data first. This is 15 kilowatts P. N1 is 10,000 RPM. Gear is to rotate at 2,500 RPM. So N2 is given. Helix angle, that is beta, is 20 degrees. Pinion is made of C45 steel. So C45 steel is sigma D1. You have to calculate, and that is a tick from the table. Gear is made of forged steel untreated. Sigma D2. So C45 steel, sigma D2 with respect to, let us quickly write down the values. This is table 12.7. So C45 steel, we have one value which is 233.4 megapascals. Sigma D2 will be forged steel. There are two types. Be careful which one you select. We are selecting untreated here. 172.6 megapascal. Pressure angle to be taken as 20 degrees. Okay. Now, the biggest change that you can find in this problem is something to do with the torque itself. Okay, something to do with the torque. Starting torque is 50% more than the running torque to transmit 15 kilowatts. So where does this torque difference come actually? Okay, you have to understand that. Where does this, well, I mean, which equation does this torque difference hold on? We know that the torque equation MT will be 9.55 into 10 power 6 ECS by N in general. Now, this has to be given some value, right? P is 15 kilowatts. N is the whichever pinion or gear, whichever you are taking into consideration, that particular rotation, that is RPM. And what about CS? Now this is the one which will decide what you're trying to tell here. Starting torque 50% more than running torque. Okay. If the running torque was equal to the starting torque, then this much would have been sufficient without the factor of CS. Okay. CS can depend on two factors. One is whether it is a type of operation that is required. Okay. Type of operation, that is continuous, medium shock, etc., impact loading, etc., or something that a higher side is required at one particular instance of its operation. Now, during starting, we know any machine will take high torque, okay, until it gains momentum, and then it will require a low torque. So this CS, the meaning of this sentence is that CS will be equal to 50% more, it is 1.5. Okay, very important observation. Starting torque 50% more than running torque is means that CS value will be equal to 1.5. Okay, please make a note of this. Yeah, that is one thing to consider. Okay, second is I value you can directly find out, that is N1 by N2. In this case it is 10,000 by 2,500, it is 4. Okay, it can be used for any other calculations also, because this is also equal to D2 by D1 and also equal to Z2 by Z1. Fine. Yeah. So it says determine phase width and module. It actually means that use the Lewis equation and design based on strength, and use this, find out this phase width and module. Of course, module is the one which will decide, and then will come for phase width. In this problem, you might have noticed that dia and teeth both are not known. Okay, diameter and teeth both are not known. So there is no starting point for you. You have to create a starting point. What is that? So you have to find, I mean, to start off this problem, you require the minimum number of teeth. Okay, so table 12.4 B, okay, page 230. We have used that in the spur gears before also. So according to this table, for 20-degree full depth system, Z1, okay, or you can say Z minimum should be equal to 18. So Z minimum should be equal to 18. The minimum number of teeth that that you should have should be 18. In this problem, since both are not given, you are free to choose this Z1, okay, whether it is 18 or 20, depending on what the table tells you. If it was 14.5 degree, you should have chosen 32, but 20-degree full depth gives you the advantage of using just 18 teeth. So let us start from there. Once this is set, so Z1 is equal to 18. Accordingly, Z2 will be 4 times Z1, which is equal to 72. Okay, so why did we choose this? Because we need a starting point, and it is not about temporarily assuming here, because we can directly select and proceed with the problem. Okay, only if we don't get a solution for this kind, then we can come back and reiterate it by using 20, 22 and etc. Okay, so why we chose this? Because there is nothing to start with. Okay, we had to fix something first, so we'll fix the teeth first. Now we'll go for iteration of diameter. So it will take the form of what we have done in the first problem itself, that is mn cube cv will be coming into effect here, because z1 is already done, that is number of teeth is already done. Okay, so if you are familiar with all the procedures, students, you can just go ahead and finish off this problem, because I've given you all the inputs necessary. Okay, so from here it is all the same usual procedure: sigma d1 y1, sigma d2 y2, find the weaker member. Then since teeth is known and diameter is not known, mn cube cv will be the starting factor for you, that is the iterating factor. Then on you can proceed with other parameters. Okay, so I think this class, this much we have covered. We can continue this same problem next class. I'll briefly go through the steps of the problem. I would suggest you that you too solve this problem at first, because then it will be a good comparison to you. It will be a good practice for you also. We don't have a practice session as separately, so that is why, and being in online mode, we cannot have a more interactive session. I mean, of course, we can try to have that, but at the same time, we since we already send you the recorded version of our lectures, okay, that is also useful for you. And in order to save time also, we have to follow this particular procedure. So you please go through the problems once again, and I'll be posting this recording once I get the intimation that it is saved. then you can proceed with the same procedure. I've given all the necessary inputs to start off with this problem and the reason behind it. Okay. So thank you for joining, students, today. We will meet again on Friday 2 to 3:30. Okay.
Thank you, sir.